Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Dorrani from VG247.com, and today I'm joined by Alex.
Hello. It's happened.
It's finally happened. Yesterday, Elden Ring was finally shown. We thought it was a myth.
It became one of those things, right, where everyone was starting to get upset and saying this isn't a real game that exists. It's abandoned. You know, it's not going to come out, but it's real. It exists. Not only did we get gameplay, but the thing that really surprised me was we got a release date.
Indeed, and it's quite close as well. It is quite close.
January 21st.
January 21st,
and it's cross-gen as well, which we didn't even know any of that. So now we know it's PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. So yeah.
No, I'm excited. But for those people listening, what is Elden Ring? Because some people might be on their Twitters and saying, "What's this Elden Ring talk?" Because not everyone is a fan of Souls games. So what is Elden Ring?
Well, I mean, you sort of just said it, right? It's the new Souls game. Obviously, FromSoftware had a long history, actually, even before they made Demon Souls, of making these quite difficult, quite old school, quite obtuse role-playing games. And they made lots of them, like going back to the PS2 and stuff, like dungeon crawler sort of things. And then they made a little game called Demon Souls, a game that Sony looked at, and Sony was like, Sony US and Sony Europe were like, we ain't going to publish this. It's niche. I think famously, it was Shu Yoshida who admitted that when he played it, he was like, this game is terrible. And then it's sort of... Atlas picked up the Western version instead of Sony. It was a Sony game in Japan. They published the Western version in the US. Namco published it in Europe, and it was a huge smash. And then obviously that led to Dark Souls, and there were 3 of those. That led to Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, which was published by Activision.
You skipped one.
And yes, of course, I wasn't going to forget it. And of course, Sony came back into this area with Bloodborne, right? And they're all slightly different. So, like, Sekiro is a bit more fast-paced and a bit more aggressive, I would say. Bloodborne also is a more aggressive game in the sense that, you know, it doesn't give you shields, for instance. In fact, the only shield item in Bloodborne is, like, a joke. But Dark Souls is the original, right? And they sort of concluded the trilogy with Dark Souls with the 3rd one, and Elden Ring is their successor. This is published by From in Japan and Bandai Namco in the rest of the world, just like Dark Souls, and it looks very, very similar. Like, this easily probably could have been Dark Souls 4, but instead it seems like they're building a new universe. And of course they've got, as well as Yoshitaka Miyazaki, who created the Souls series, you've got George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame coming in to help build out the story and the world. Which still remains to be seen. I will say, still remains to be seen if this game will actually directly connect to Dark Souls, because it might. But it is definitely something new.
Yeah, most definitely. I would say, for me personally, that's like a big selling point as someone who's a big Game of Thrones fan, to have George R.R. Martin here, like, creating a world. And as you can see from the footage that's playing now, like, the enemies look crazy, and just the lore and the fantasy behind it all looks insane. Like, that fusion of different worlds, that sort of Japanese folklore, and then George R.R. Martin's weird and wonderful mind.
It's interesting, right? Because obviously this comes from a Japanese studio, but the interesting thing about Dark Souls, and all the Souls games really, except Sekiro, which is more rooted in Asia, is that it's an Asian role-playing fantasy universe with a much more Western look. Western-looking dragons, Western-looking armor, Middle Ages, you know, that sort of thing. Lots of Western religious imagery in the Souls series. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how a Western creator meshes into that and find out exactly how much he worked on it. What's interesting, let's just jump straight into it, because we don't have much footage and we don't want to let this video run too long. So what's interesting is we get quite a bit of voiceover in this trailer, and there really isn't much talking in any of the Souls games. Especially Dark Souls, which this seems to take more from. And you go on the Japanese website, FromSoftware's website for Elden Ring, and it's got bullet points about the game. And one of the bullet points, I roughly translate here, is basically says that it's a ensemble drama, so it's a story that's told with the thoughts and feelings and perspectives of a lot of different characters. And that probably seems to mean that more characters are going to be talking and more characters are going to be active in the story. Whereas in Souls, really, cutscenes, you could go 8 hours without seeing a cutscene sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really potentially interesting, and one way that this game might differentiate itself. And then, of course, there's other ways, right? We get a glimpse of horseback riding, which suggests wider open areas. I'm not expecting it to be an open world game. I'm expecting it to be similar to the other Souls games in the sense that you'll have individual areas that are connected by other areas. And what I think it means having the horse and stuff is obviously these areas are going to be much bigger than the previous games. Yeah.
Most definitely. I think the open world aspect is something that it's nice to fall into the trap of, oh my god, open world and you can go everywhere. But personally, I feel like a lot of games shouldn't be. I think the fact that it's linear, it gives it structure, and it allows you to focus more on the bosses that they intend on you to fight, because you want the actual challenge of killing the bosses and the enemies.
And I think these games don't necessarily need to be open world anyway. They are in many ways like Elden Ring and Dark Souls are descended in many ways from like Metroid and Castlevania, in that they have that same structure of you can sort of go anywhere within the world, but you're going to come across barriers that stop you from moving, whether that's a boss, whether that's, you know, a puzzle you can't solve, whatever. And so I expect more of that here than traditional open world stuff. But obviously the approach in this game is, these games always have very traditional character builders where you're choosing stats. You can make really different builds. So you're going to be long range, you're going to be short range, you're going to be magic focused, or you're going to be stealth. You can obviously summon in spirit bodies, I guess, you know, spirits. We'll see what they're called in this game, the same as in Souls. And so it all sort of adds up, right, to create this open-endedness without you necessarily having to have an open world.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a linear open world. A linear open world. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, what I'd say is it's like it's open progression in a linear world, I guess, something like that. I don't know. I loathe to use the word Metroidvania, but the structure of Souls has always been more like those games than most other things, in my opinion.
Yeah, most
Even
definitely.
if they don't have the obvious, you got the grappling hook moment or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of that sort of grappling hook stuff, so out of all of the Souls games or the games from FromSoft, what do you want Elden Ring to be most like from their previous titles?
For me, I see this as a successor to Dark Souls, first and foremost. And just looking at the trailer, the look of it, the way it moves, stuff like that, it definitely feels like a successor to the third Dark Souls. And for my money, that's the best one, which I know isn't necessarily a popular opinion. But I think it hit the balance right of being accessible, but also still hard as nails and open-ended in just the right way. And so what I really want is I want this game to pick up from where that game left off, but just to learn small lessons from Sekiro, from Bloodborne, you know, from the original Demon Souls, whatever. Even looking at the Demon Souls remake, which From didn't work on, but maybe I'm sure they've looked at what Bluepoint did, any minor things they tweaked and gone, maybe we should have done that the first time. And I just want it to be this best of all worlds. It's sort of like, if it can play and feel like the Dark Souls games, but it can get just a little bit of that feeling of momentum you can get in Bloodborne and Sekiro. And given that it's an open world and you've got like they showed the horse in the trailer riding into it's almost like one of the Halo jump up drafts, the blue things in Halo that you jump into that shoot you. You see the horse go into that and do a crazy jump. It's like there's shades of the other games in that, right? Whereas Dark Souls has always been quite grounded. You're always on the ground. Your character always feels quite heavy. So if they can merge those two a little bit, I would be really chuffed with that. But primarily, I'm happy just for a sequel to Dark Souls.
Yeah, most definitely. I think I want it to be more like Sekiro, even though I didn't play very much of it, but the combat speed, as you said, the momentum, the speed of it was something that I was like, okay, I didn't think we could get a Souls-like game, but you can move this fast and you have that much combat freedom. That's about it, really. Do you have anything else to say? We're just excited. I think everyone's excited still. You know, we saw some things and stuff, but there's nothing. It would only be speculation at this point. There's nothing to break down. We're just excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a difficult wait until we get a gameplay demo, even if that's tomorrow, which I don't think it will be. I think we won't see this game again now until the autumn probably. But you know, I think it's really, really exciting just to see that it's real, to see what they're doing, see that it looks great. It appears to be running well in that trailer, but obviously that's not real gameplay, so we'll wait and see what real gameplay looks like. But you know, I just think there's not only is that trailer just giving everyone what they want, which everyone was looking forward to more Souls and learning about what this game was about, but also it gives everyone a glimpse at some of the things it's doing differently, the horseback riding, the verticality. I guess it seems like you'll be able to jump and get up higher a lot more, whereas in Souls, if there wasn't a ladder, you were screwed. And so that stuff's really, really, really exciting, and I'm just pumped. It looks ridiculous. Sort of like
speaking of looks, I heard a lot of people saying that because it's cross-generation, it's not looking too good. But I feel like you don't really play those sorts of games for like just its visual fidelity. I feel like that's not the point.
I mean, I don't play any game for just visual fidelity personally. You know, each to their own. If for people who do that, but you know, I sympathise because cross-generation games are inevitably always going to make sacrifices because the because the previous gen version exists. You know, even we looked at Horizon Forbidden West. Right, and we were talking about how amazing it looks. But even with a game like that looks amazing, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, this is on PS4 as well. So what's the catch going to be? Where is this game going to be compromised because of that? And that's going to happen. And so that will happen here. And there's nothing we can do about it. The thing is, there aren't that many PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series consoles out there at this stage. People still need to be able to play it. Namco and From need a big number of people who are able to buy it. They need millions and millions of people to be able to buy it to make their money back. So of course with this and with a lot of games, we're going to have cross-gen versions for the next, I would say for the next year at least, but I think we'll still be getting PlayStation 4 games well into 2023. And so we just have to learn to deal with it, you know? Simple as. I'm not saying every game will be on PS4 until 2023, but I think a lot of them will be.
It's no biggie, to be honest. It's no problem. As I said, it's not about just the graphics.
But also, I think that I look at that trailer and I'm like, no, it's not the visual showcase of something like Horizon, but it's a different sort of game trying to accomplish different things. And I thought it looked mint. So
most definitely.
Whatever.
I agree there. I watched the 4K one and I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely something good. But yes, we are excited for Elden Ring. Everyone else is excited for Elden Ring. Twitter went into a meltdown yesterday. It was hype. I'm glad.
Shout out to the Elden Ring subreddit who were I was refreshing that subreddit and it was horrific. It was a bloodbath.
I'm happy when everyone in the games industry it unites over being excited over one thing. I feel like we've had a rough time in the games industry of recent, so it's nice that everyone's on the hype train again, and I hope it continues leading on to the rest of E3 and then the rest of the year. My name is Dorrani from VG247. Alex,
see ya.
Peace out, everyone.